What's the most dense a friend of yours has ever been when you were trying to explain something to them? One of my current roommates. I was trying to explain prorated rent to him. The conversation went like this over the course of 2 weeks. Me, alright, so we move in on the 22nd, but they require a full month of rent at move-in. Also, rent is always due on the 1st, so on the 1st we'll have to pay the remaining days of next month. Him, dude, I don't want to pay rent twice, we haven't lived there for a full month. Oh no, we aren't paying the full amount on the 22nd and the 1st. We pay $1,300 on the 22nd, and then on the 1st we pay $400. Dude, I think we are getting ripped off. We haven't lived there a whole month. No, we are not paying $1,300 twice, we are paying $1,300 for 31 days, then we owe rent for 9 days the next month, but they want it on the 1st. So, basically instead of prorating us for 9 days upfront they are prorating the second month. They are making us pay rent twice, when we haven't lived there a whole month. Dude, just give me $79 on the 1st. Oh, that's all? I still think they are ripping us off. I don't want to pay rent twice for 1 month. Rinse and repeat at least 3 more times. If I work 5 days a week and go work 4 days a week, I lose 20% of my salary. If I later go from 4 days a week to 5 days a week, I gain 25% of my salary. He was all, no you idiot. You lose 20% and then gain 20%. And, otherwise you could infinitely increase your salary. So I sat down with him. Imagine you make $100 per week working 5 days. You switch to working 4 days, which is 20% less. So you end up with $80 per week at 4 days. Your daily pay is still $20. So you add 1 day and you add $20. How much is $20 compared to $80? Exactly 1/4. So 25%. He was stunned. He accused me of magic, and he was seriously considering we found a flaw in math. They refused to believe Danish was a language, but had no answer. When I asked what was the native language of Denmark, that's so dumb, lol, I'm from Danish. We speak Denmark, can confirm. I'm also Danishian. My boyfriend insisted that he never wanted to win $1,000 or some amount like that in the lottery, because then his chances of ever winning a big jackpot would go way down for the rest of his life. I tried many times to explain that every lottery is a new one, so the chances are the same, just like rolling dice or flipping a coin. He just wouldn't get it. Couldn't. He was dumb. Many years ago was trying to explain to my best friend that meat was the muscle of the animal, and he would not accept it. Kept insisting it was meat. As if there was something else in the body in addition to muscle, bone, veins, nerves, etc. called meat. He just couldn't wrap his head around it. Same friend also didn't realize there were still clouds in the sky at night until I pointed it out to him. He was like 13 at the time. We are both in our early 20s now, and he's smartened up some since then. But I still never let him forget it. I was at the zoo with a friend, and we were looking at the penguins. She made some comment about them being eaten by polar bears, and I told her that never happens, since they live on opposite poles. She didn't believe me. I explained that penguins live in the Antarctic. She thought I made it up. I asked her where penguins lived. She told me they lived in the South Arctic. A girl I used to know guessed Bob was Hitler's first name, lol. Trying to explain to a friend that a big tax refund you get from withholding too much tax is not free money from the government. You'd think they'd believe me, since I'm an accountant and all, but they just couldn't wrap their head around the concept. I'm certain the same people believe that they can lose money by being promoted into a higher tax bracket. Had a friend in high school, brilliant, was accepted into many Ivy League colleges and MIT. He could not understand that if you're going to go pick up someone that is out of your way, you have to add drive time to your plans. For example, one Saturday night we were meeting friends at the local cathedral to be able to show it off to out-of-town guests. The service was at 5. His original plan was to leave at 4:30. I asked him if he could pick me up from my parents, which was 15 minutes away from him, then 40 minutes to the church. He still left at 4:30. The service was almost over by the time we got there. This happened multiple times. You know that prank where you take a paper and write, "How do you keep someone busy?" Answer is on the other side. My 5th grade class thought it was the most hilarious thing ever to see how many times a person flipped the paper before catching on. Well, one girl did not catch on, even after we repeatedly explained it to her. "I don't get it," she said several times, flipping the paper repeatedly with all the focus and confusion you'd expect dedicated to a tricky math problem. There was also the time my friend, who's a lesbian, suggested that any biological children she had would likely also be gay. I reminded her that most gay offspring kinda have to come from straight parents, and she turned bright red with embarrassment as she realized how flawed her logic was. Friend was bit by a brown recluse on the hand. Didn't go to a doctor afterwards. Told us he didn't need to since the bite was itching all the time, so that meant it was healing. I was going through a drive-thru with my friends after a concert. One friend had a large bill. We explained to her she could use her large bill to pay for the order, and that we would give her our smaller bills towards our orders. She insisted that she wouldn't do it because she thought she was paying for it all. We had to explain it in different ways. Super blunt moment, I'd say. I said that humans have been getting progressively taller through the centuries. She said she didn't believe that and laughed at me. I pulled up an article and read it, and she said, and I quote, "I don't believe articles. I need facts." One time I was talking to my friend about how I was from the Midwest originally, Indiana and Ohio. He chimes in that he was in fact also from the Midwest because he was born in Texas. I said, "No, more like the Southwest really." He said, "Well, relative to where I am, Texas is in the middle western part of the United States. So yes, Midwest." Using this absolute nugget of logic as a reference point, I asked him, if he happened to be physically located in California, would Texas then be considered the Middle East? He didn't respond. My friend was arguing that moonshine was over 100% alcohol. I tried explaining to him that if you have 100% of something, that is the entirety of the thing, and therefore there can't be more than that. His response was, "Oh yay? Then how come you can give 110% in sports?" When I was 15, "Let's go to the drive-in tonight." We don't have a car. So we can take the bus. One of my roommates insisted that Canada does not have lakes or islands because we're already an island. It's okay though, he's only an international development major. My best mate has no idea of money or finances. Had an insanely rushed wedding a few months back when he was earning decent money, but he still got a personal loan for it. Didn't work for months after the wedding, so got another personal loan to survive, break lease and move house with his wife, and used it to pay rent/pay other loan. His standard of living never went down to compensate the new money situation. Now he has a new job paying significantly less than his previous job. His wife is pregnant. They want to move again, and he recently asked all of our friends what we thought about him buying a brand new car. It seems no amount of advice from 6 different people can convince him that he is fast approaching a massive financial hole, particularly with a baby on the way. I had a friend in school that believed every myth she heard to the point that people just made stuff up to mess with her. She really for a while believed blood was blue, the earth was flat, that the sun moved around the earth, that Antarctica was a fictional continent. She also got into a really stupid debate with our science teacher once when the teacher said the sun was a star. I had one friend who took an online test to determine her blood type and insisted she was AB, which is incredibly rare. I tried explaining that blood types are random and you can't know what you are without actually testing your blood. She got so defensive and practically yelled at me over it. I was trying to explain that Britain is considered part of the Western world because it was west of the Iron Curtain that separated Berlin back in WWII. He said no, it's east because it's east of the US. Living proof that our school system has failed us SMH. Trying to explain to a friend that, no, it would not be easier if time zones were abolished and that the whole planet had the same time. I was working in a paint shop. One of the projects was a piece that was getting a clear coat. I explained to my coworker that we would paint it clear. I showed him the clear paint and he asked, "So how does it make the metal invisible?" Have you ever heard something so dumb that you get a headache? I had to explain to a friend that people who didn't learn English as their first language think in a different language. She was dumbfounded. She believed that, no matter what your first language is, you think in English. That having 3 Nintendo Switches was not normal. one for school, one for home, and then a Switch Mini, just for the hell of it.